California.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of S-2271, the Sudan Accountability and Divestment Act. First, let me thank Chairman Frank. As chair of the Financial Services Committee, I have just got to say, you didn't have to do this, but you did. This took many, many months to negotiate. Chairman Frank understands very clearly that this bill will put the United States on the right side of history in our efforts to end genocide in Darfur. So I just want to thank the Financial Services Committee under your leadership, Mr. Gutierrez, and all of those who really made sure that this happened in a bipartisan way. So thank you again, Congressman Frank, for your leadership, but also for your commitment, your moral commitment, your intellectual resources have been put on the table to get this done. So thank you so much. I want to also take a few minutes just to thank a few more people, because this is a bill that has been a bipartisan bill, and it has been tough to negotiate, but it happened finally. First, I have to say that my colleagues in the other body, Senator Dodd, Senator Durbin, Ranking Member Shelby of the Senate Banking Committee, I have to congratulate them and thank them for working together in a bipartisan fashion on this bill. Initially, it was actually, when it left this House, H.R. 180, the Darfur Accountability and Divestment Act, better known as SADA. And for the most part, 90% of data remains intact thanks to our negotiators and thanks to our staff. The staff has been phenomenal. Daniel McClunchy, Jim Siegel, Katie Lavelle. I want to thank all of our staff for their efforts, and I have to especially acknowledge Christos Santos and my staff, who has gone way beyond the call of duty to make sure that this bill came out in the form that it came out, where we all could support it. Also, a former staffer, Aisha House-Moshi, her tireless effort, her inspiration, and her pushing helped us draft the original DADA bill. And I must acknowledge Congressman Don Payne, chair of the Africa Subcommittee. I've got to say that his leadership on Sudan has been phenomenal. He authored the initial legislation over 3 years ago that declared the genocide taking place was a genocide in Darfur. Representative Wolf, Senator Brownback, in a bipartisan way, members in both bodies have come together to not only declare the genocide is taking place, but also to do the things that we need to do to make sure that it ended. So I want to thank you also for your leadership. Also, let me just say to Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, they have been such phenomenal leaders as leadership in this body and as great human beings. They both, and I've visited the refugee camps on 3 occasions, once also with Speaker Pelosi and once with Majority Leader Hoyer. They saw the devastation. They saw the tragedy. They saw the glare. They saw in the refugees' eyes. They heard the stories of men, women, children being run out of their villages. They saw the pictures that children painted of bombs coming down into their villages and the Janjaweed on horseback coming through, burning their villages. So Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Hoyer saw this firsthand with so many members of this body, and so I just want to thank them for following up and for making sure that we were able to bring this bill to the floor. The religious community, the students, the Save Darfur Coalition, STAND, the NAACP, the American Jewish World Service, the National Association of Evangelicals, and the Genocide Intervention Network and the Sudan Divestment Task Force. I cannot say enough about these outside organizations because they have been the wind beneath our wings here. They got it early. They got it early. And so I just have to thank them, including Sam Bell, Adam Sterling, Allison Neville, Nina McCurry, with the Sudan Divestment Task Force for their work. Because sometimes these negotiations got very difficult, but they hung in there and they were very realistic and yet principled in how they move forward. With each decision to divest, our constituents send a very loud and clear message to Khartoum that they won't fund genocide. Not on our dime, not on our watch. Already in our nation, there have been 58 universities, 22 states, and 11 cities. All of these have divested, and so this bill allows these divestment movements to move on. This is an impressive track record, Mr. Speaker, and it really deserves our recognition. Briefly, this bill, one, authorizes states and local governments and universities to divest from companies doing business in the military, the power production, the oil-related, and mineral extraction industries in partnership with Khartoum government of Sudan. It also authorizes states, local governments, and universities to prohibit new contracts with such companies. Prohibit new contracts. Provide safe harbor to mutual funds and pension plans choosing to divest their assets in such companies, and also prohibits the federal government from entering into new federal contracts with these offending companies. Now, let me be very clear. This bill does not require anyone to divest. Even when it comes to federal contracts, we provide the president with waiver authority in the event of a national security emergency. Further, this bill is designed to protect and encourage our governors, state legislators, our mayors, our provosts, and our deans to divest their assets from Sudan and express their outrage with the ongoing genocide in Darfur. No one should have to worry that their pension or retirement funds are supporting genocide. So by passing this legislation today, we can help achieve that goal and at the same time send a message to Khartoum and to the companies that are enabling the genocidal regime. Not on our watch, not on our dime. Taken together with over $1 billion in humanitarian assistance and peacekeeping money we passed last night and the diplomacy efforts of this administration, divestment is one part comprehensive bipartisan strategy that we are going to end the genocide. So we must continue also to urge all parties to lay down their arms, come to the table to negotiate a political solution. We must continue support for the rapid and unconditional deployment of a United Nations AU hybrid force, along with free and unfettered access for humanitarian groups to continue to provide humanitarian assistance. Mr. Speaker, 13 years ago, the world stood by as nearly 1 million people were slaughtered in the genocide of Rwanda, and the best our country could do, the best we could do, was apologize, and that was after the fact. Today, the people of Darfur who are suffering and dying need this bill. They need it because another genocide is occurring. And again, as I said, I have witnessed this 3 times in the camps, and I've heard these stories. I've seen the devastation from the survivors. Nearly 3 million refugees are in the camps now. So I must say there must be no apologies this time because we must sign this bill into law. The president needs to do the right thing. He needs to listen to bipartisan, bicameral support from Congress for divestment and sign this. This really is, Mr. Speaker, this is the moment of truth. This is the moment of truth. Let's stop the rhetoric and do something now that we have declared for 3 years genocide taking place. We need to put the United States on the right side of history. Divestment worked in South Africa. When our former colleague, my mayor now, Ron Dellums, when he led the effort in the 80s, it can work now in Sudan. So I urge the president to join us in saying to the government of Khartoum, not on our watch, not on our dime. And so let me again thank Chairman Frank for his leadership on this important legislation. Let me thank all of those on the other side of the House for their commitment to make sure that this became a bipartisan bill and that we take the right step, put our country on the right side of history, say no to the Sudanese government, yes to ending this genocide, and let us urge the president to sign this bill into law. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.